Welcome, friends. This is Yvonne Davis, your traveling warrior astrologer, and I am bringing this to you from under the stars. Today I'm going to be talking about the Sagittarius full moon, which is June 3rd, 2023 in the evening. So go ahead and check for your local time to see when that will be. But I want to give you a reminder to check out my new channel. It's called Colorado Life. I am living at the cabin. I've decided to start sharing that experience with you and some other things that I like to do in Colorado. So I hope you will enjoy it and go and check out those videos and subscribe to my new channel. I would really appreciate it. As I said, it's the evening of June 3rd, 2023, Sagittarius full moon opposite the sun at 13 degrees, 18 minutes. So the moon is at 13 degrees of Sagittarius and the sun is at 13 degrees of Gemini. There are basically 3 or 4 themes in this chart, and I think they all work together to tell a story that I am calling Live Your Truth. And part of the reason why I say that is because Sagittarius is all about truth and focus. Sagittarius is considered the philosopher of the zodiac, the lover of truth, and the seeker of truth. And the arrow for the centaur is like focusing, pointing, aiming, shooting straight at your truth. Okay, that's the direction you're going in. And it's really interesting because, the full moon is like bringing something to fruition, culmination. Sometimes it's endings, but it's also about things that you've been working toward. You've been working toward your truth. You've been working toward living your truth, okay? In fact, I think we're always doing that, but for some reason, I think it's unusually poignant at this time. So what you want to do with this full moon, it's like it's pregnant. It is ready to give birth. It is in this culmination phase. It's ready to be done with the old, the stuff that's not working, the stuff that's not true to you anymore, to let go of it, to release it, to end it, okay? And then move forward, move in the direction of your truth. Like the goddess Diana, or also known as Artemis. These are the goddesses of the zodiac as well, who represent the archer. Okay, so you can think of it as a centaur with the archer, with the arrow, or you can think of it as the goddess archers. But regardless, they are very independent, very adventurous, and they are going to fight for their truth. They're going to live their truth and they're going to fight for it. Okay. They're not going to be pansies about it. They're not going to be doormats. These are warrior goddesses. These are not doormats. Okay. So there is actually something in this chart that is a little bit challenging, and I've been really meditating on it. So now that I've given you the basic idea of what's going on with this full moon in Sagittarius, which is all about you releasing the things that aren't working for you anymore, aiming your arrow straight at your truth, the direction that you want to move in, and start moving in that direction. And don't let anything hold you back. Unfortunately, there may be some things that are holding you back, and I'm going to talk about that too. But this is the basic idea of this full moon. It's also making a trine to Pallas Athena in Leo. And she's also at the same degree. So she is trining the moon and sextiling the sun. And that's really helpful because Pallas Athena is also a warrior goddess. So we got a lot of warrior goddess energy in here. And she is the goddess of strategy and the arts. And so she's sort of like Mercury's little sister. And Mercury rules Gemini, where the sun is. So, this, there's a lot of kind of heady stuff. You may be thinking about things, you may be writing about things in your journal, you may be talking about things, but ultimately, you also need to take action. And she can help you with doing the research and developing your strategy and any skills that you may need in order to move in that direction. Okay. So I love that trine and sextile with Pallas Athena. So that's the basic full moon. And then the other theme in this chart is the conjunction of the North Node and Jupiter. And this is also really exciting. So, really, from the 1st of June all the way through to this full moon and a little bit beyond, Jupiter is in a conjunction to the North Node. And this is important because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So, Jupiter is the ruler of this full moon, and the North Node is the moon's node. So I think they are communicating with each other. And I don't think it's an accident that these two things are happening at exactly the same time. And so basically, Jupiter says the same thing as Sagittarius, which is seek your truth, find your truth, and live your truth. Speak your truth, fight for your truth, whatever you have to do. Okay. That's what it's about. It's interesting that Jupiter is in conjunction with the North Node because the North Node is the direction of your evolution. It's pointing you to your future. So I totally believe that these two things, the full moon in Sagittarius, and at the same time, Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, is conjunct the North Node, the direction of your evolution. Okay. Follow your truth. If you don't know what it is, I would be shocked. But if you don't know what it is, figure it out. That's what this is about. Find your truth, follow your truth, aim for it, walk toward it, fight for it, and live your truth. Because if you don't, you will be miserable. You know, I mean, I don't know how many people are out there who refuse to live their truth, who refuse to follow all the signs that tell them what the situation they're in is not working and probably even toxic. And, that doesn't mean run away from everything in your life when there's a challenge. No, that's not. But the thing is that sometimes you can see when a situation is blocking you from living your truth and moving in the direction of your evolution. And if it's obvious, I know it can be scary, but you got to take the leap. And Sagittarius is also very adventurous, wants to go out into the world and explore new things rather than staying in its comfort zone. It wants to discover new things, it wants to expand, it wants to have adventures. So why not go for it? What's the worst thing that could happen, honestly? I really think that a lot of times people avoid what they know they need to do because they're simply afraid of change. They're afraid of stepping out of their comfort zone. But I can assure you, if you do it in the long run, you will be so glad you did. And this energy is basically telling you you have to do it. All right, so those are two themes. And there's really actually five now that I look further into this chart. The other thing I want to say, though, about Jupiter and the North Node conjunction is that it's sextiling Saturn and Pisces. So you're getting the really supportive energy of Saturn, which means that it will help you, whatever you're doing to move in the direction of your evolution and live your truth, it's going to help you. It's going to help make it stable for the long term so it will last a long time for you. Okay. So I love that sextile. And then I'll go on to the next thing that I see here in Taurus, which is the Mercury Uranus conjunction in Taurus at the time of this full moon and at the time of the Jupiter North Node conjunction. And so basically it's a breakthrough kind of energy. It may even make you feel a little bit kind of buzzed, like wired, like almost anxious, like some kind of anxiety, like I got to move forward, I got to do this. It's really sometimes even hard to sleep with this energy. It can almost feel like you stuck your finger in a light socket. And so, if you're having any problems like that, just understand it's temporary, it will pass. But if you have some ideas, this can be great for that. Great for brainstorming, great for major, major breakthroughs. So keep that in mind. I think that will help a lot. And then the other major aspect that this chart is pointing to is that T square that we had with Pluto, the nodes, Jupiter. That was a square, T square. And then all these planets are also opposing Pluto. First, Mars was opposing Pluto. It's now moved beyond 8 degrees orb, so it's not as intense now. But now Venus is moving into an opposition with Pluto. And eventually the sun will also move into an opposition with Pluto. Actually, the sun does that once Venus is turning retrograde on July 22nd. So this theme is kind of ongoing. This Pluto with the planets opposing it and squaring the nodes. Jupiter will be moving on too. It's still at a 4-degree orb, but it'll keep moving further and further out, so it's not forming that square so much. But we'll still have Pluto squaring the nodes, and then these planets coming through and opposing Pluto, creating a grand cross. So I think this is actually an important theme in this chart, because here we are trying to live our truth. We're trying to fight for it, move toward it, walk toward it, work toward it, whatever we have to do to live our truth. And it's like there's something getting in the way. It can be so frustrating. You may have already noticed it with that other T square we had with Pluto, the nodes, Jupiter, and Mars. You may have seen some frustrating things coming up that were just really irritating. It was like they were blocking you, getting in your way, causing you trouble. Well, one thing I will say is, there are two kinds, internal and external. But I actually believe everything's internal. I'm not saying that the external doesn't exist. What I'm saying is that ultimately the power to change things is internal. So that means that, in a sense, everything is internal. So always keep that in mind whenever, we're going through this time period where we're seeing this thing that's kind of blocking us. And it has to do with some sense of power. Like, that's really what it comes down to fundamentally, is our own sense of empowerment. We may feel that there's something with power, someone with power, external to us, a situation, a person, whatever, external to us, that's blocking us, frustrating us, getting in our way, annoying us, irritating us, playing games, head games, toxicity, whatever, any of those things. I call them the guardians of the threshold, because whenever you try to do something authentic, that's when the guardians of the threshold come up to test you, to say, are you sure this is what you want? What about so-and-so in your life? What about, what will the neighbors think? What will your parents think? What will your family think? All that kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that always comes up. Or it may be some kind of institution that's causing trouble. Could be virtually anything in your life, but it's still a guardian of the threshold. It's that scary monster at the opening of the cave, because you want to go down into the cave. That's where Pluto is. Pluto is the god of the underworld. So you want to go down into the cave. That's what the hero always did. Went down into the cave and had an initiation. And there's like this demon or dragon or troll or something there guarding the opening of the cave. So you can't even get down in there to do your initiation and to basically find the buried treasure. You want to bring that up. That's the golden light of empowerment. If you can do that journey, but you got to get past the guardians of the threshold. So I think that it's not just here to irritate us, even though it does feel really irritating. This thing that whatever it is that's getting in the way, internal or external, that seems to be blocking us moving in the direction of living our truth. Just think of it as a guardian of the threshold with its dripping fangs and bad breath, and understand that it's a chimera. It's a reflection of your own fears, insecurities, anxieties, frustration, impatience. Fundamentally, it's the way you are viewing the situation. I'm not saying that external, whatever it is, isn't real. It's actually really there, but we make it worse when we see it, when we perceive it as an enemy, rather than just a minor irritation or minor disturbance or distraction, okay? And if it's super, super toxic in your life, then if you can get away, then do get away. There's no point in keeping that in your life if you can remove it in a way that, makes your life better and is also for the highest good of all concerned. So those are the major themes. There's one more thing I'll mention in this chart, which is the fact that Venus is just about to move into Leo, where she will join Mars and Pallas Athena and be in there for quite a while. And it's really, really interesting what we see happening when we get to the Venus retrograde, but that's not until July 22nd. So I'm going to hold off on talking about that because that's still almost 2 months away. But I do think that part of her moving into Leo and conjoining Mars and traveling through Leo with Mars and Pallas Athena, these three gods and goddesses, this divine energy, there's something in that area of our charts that we need to work toward, okay? So keep that in mind and look at where these planets are landing in your chart, okay? Where is Sagittarius in your chart? Where is Taurus in your chart? And where is Leo in your chart? Because that's where we're having the most energy right now. And so that's where we're going to see these changes unfolding over time and transforming our lives. So I hope all of that was helpful. And I hope you have the courage to continue seeking your truth, fighting for it, working for it, walking toward it, living it, okay? That's really what life is about. And don't let the guardians of the threshold stop you or get you down. All right, I'm going to stop there, but I want to give you a reminder to check out my new channel. It's called Colorado Life. I am living at the cabin. I've decided to start sharing that experience with you and some other things that I like to do in Colorado. So I hope you will enjoy it and go and check out those videos and subscribe to my new channel. I would really appreciate it. All right, so that's it for today, and I will talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.